Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 125 of the Ask the Coach show, where PingSkills answers your table tennis questions. Today, we're going to discuss the Belarus Open, Matsushita's amazing ability to get to that out-of-reach ball, how to improve your forehand if you're a backhand-oriented player. We'll also have a quick chat about robots and question whether practicing with your non-playing hand is beneficial. I'm Jeff Blum. And as always, with me is Supercoach Alois Rosario. Welcome, Alois.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And yes, back after a few days away. So just happened that we were both in Sydney on the weekend, and we both didn't know that we were going to be in Sydney. And on, I think, Wednesday, we sort of talking to each other and said, oh, yeah, won't be able. I said I won't be able to do the show on Friday, and Jeff said, oh, I won't be able to do the show on Thursday. Where are you? I'm in Sydney. Where are you? I'm in Sydney. Yeah, just one of those things. So what were you doing in Sydney, Jeffrey?
I was climbing the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Awesome, Alois. Get up nice and high, look out over the harbour and into the city. A brilliant view. I think you should do it one day.
It's not overly likely. Yeah, like the road down below is pretty good for me. It's not too scary up there. So you get to climb over the top of the frame of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, do you?
You do indeed. Yep, it's called the Sydney Harbour Bridge Climb, and it's great. Highly recommend it. You have to go up quite a steep bit of stairs first, and then you. Once you're up high, you actually climb over the frame, exactly, right to the top, and then you cross over and come back down. So, and amazing views up there. Like, there was people that were going past in helicopters, and we're like pretty much the same height as them. So, yeah, definitely a good vantage point.
Yeah, it certainly would have been a good experience, but not for me, I don't think. Not up that high. Wow.
Indeed. And what were you doing in Sydney?
Yeah, well, I was up there with our para squad, the national para squad. We have camps around Australia, and we had one in Sydney for the New South Wales players. And also then on the Sunday, the New South Wales Open was on. So I was able to go to the New South Wales Open and watch our para players play, but also watch all the other events as well. So, and met a couple of PingSkillers there, which was great.
Indeed. Excellent. Yeah, well, there you go.
So I met Richard Weaver there. Hi, Richard. I know Richard listens to all the Ping Pods because it's not Ping Pods, the Ask the Coach shows, because we were having a chat about it. And Richard said, interestingly, he listens to them as a podcast driving to work. So Jeff, that works. I like it.
That is good. Maybe if you do listen to it by a podcast, maybe leave a comment in the show to let us know you do. And if you do, also rate us on iTunes. Apparently that's helpful for other people finding the show. So if you like the show and listen to it as a podcast, rate us on iTunes. That would be helpful. Yeah. So that is good news that people listen to it that way, Alois.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I was watching Richard play a bit, and it was good. It was nice to see some PingSkillers out there, and nice to see how well he played. Good on you, Richard.
Well done, Richard. Excellent. Now, also, Alois, there's been some World Championship statistics recently talked about.
There have, and I'll just have to find them now. There were some interesting stats. I'm just looking through the ITTF media release. So apparently there were 330 million unique people watched the event on TV. And that was over 170 countries. So that's huge, isn't it? I mean, there's not that many more than 170 countries in the world, I don't think. But in China alone, there were 252 million tuned in to the World Championships. So that's 1 in every 5 Chinese people. So that's pretty huge.
Pretty popular. That's very impressive numbers.
Yeah, I was talking to Marie Pinkowicz, who actually went to the event and said the event was great. But she was saying, the releases all came out that that it was sold out. But she was saying that there were a few dodgy things happened. Like I think a lot of the tickets were sold to scalpers, and so the stadium wasn't full because of that. So yeah, they certainly sold it out, but yeah, it wasn't a full house, which is a little bit disappointing to hear. But yeah, the matches apparently were fantastic, and you know, as you said, we saw them live on ITTV as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's some pretty impressive statistics, and the website that I've put together, spinified.com, has some interesting facts as well, Alois. And like for the men's singles, you can see who lost but won more points. And so in the round of 64, Dmitry Ovcharov, who lost to Lee Sang-soo, actually won more points. He won 60 points to 59. But it doesn't matter who wins the most points, Alois. It's who wins the most sets.
Yeah, did that happen in the women's final as well? I'm not sure. I think I remember going on to Spinified and having a look, but
yeah, let me just check that up for you, Alois. If we go to Spinified World Championships and Fun Facts, yes, it did. Yep. So Ding Ning only won 68 points, and Liu Shiwen won 70 points. And it also happened in the semi-final. So Ding Ning actually 2 matches in a row, won less points in the semi-final and final, but is the world champion. So there you go.
That's interesting, isn't it? I think the points, I mean, whereas they don't mean anything in the long run because you lose the match anyway, but I think the points give you a really good indicator as to the closeness of the match. So, you know, if someone wins 4-0 and it's 44-12, you know, that's certainly a different match to if it's, you know, 68-70 and so yeah, I think in some ways the points is a good indicator too.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it was a big effort by Ding Ning because she was involved in 3 7-set matches as well, and you know, came out the winner on all occasions there as well. So very impressive effort.
Yeah, and probably, I mean, with all those things, I think, you know, I mean, to win a world championship and, you know, against that caliber of player, you know, you do need a little bit of luck going your way. So obviously not luck, but she's done well to get through those battles.
Yes, and now Mima Ito did quite well at the World Championships, Alois, but she's gone even better at the Belarus Open.
Yes, she's taken her second World Tour event, so winning the Belarus Open. In the final, she played another Japanese girl, Wakamiya, and she beat her 4-0, but the semi was probably the big match where she beat another Japanese girl, Morizono, and that was 4-3, and the last set was 17-15. So I'm not sure. Did Mima Ito play Morizono in the Australian Open as well that we saw? I think she might have.
Yeah, I think she could have.
Yeah. So the Japanese certainly support the World Tour really well. You know, it's really good to see. It's obviously one of their policies of development as well, because they've always got a lot of players at these World Tour events, and it's obviously paying dividends. You know, players like Mima Ito coming through. So yeah, I mean, at such a young age, she's now won 2 World Tour events. Yeah, she blows my mind a bit. And in the men's singles, we did a little bit of research. So the guy that won it, Li Ping must be good at jumping around. Li Ping won the men's singles, beating Ruben Phyllis, the chopper from Germany. So he beat him 4-2 in the final. Phyllis won the semi 4-3 against Oikawa from Japan, and Ruben beat Li Ping beat Takuya Jin from Japan as well in his semi. So yeah, but Li Ping, we found a few interesting things about him, Jeff.
We did.
So he is now representing Qatar. So that is probably Qatar's first World Tour win, I would say. I don't think they've had too many superstars over the time. But Li Ping previously played for China. So just having a look at his stats, in 2009, he was the world mixed doubles champion. So world champion, now playing for Qatar and changing his stripes. So in singles, he previously playing for China. So 2007, he was runner-up in the Petersburg in the Russian World Tour event. But apart from that, hasn't really done that much. Round of 16s and round of 32s was about it. So yeah, not sure how old he is, but he's certainly coming of age. He's done well, winning the World Tour event in Belarus.
Indeed. And I just checked up. Mima Ito didn't play Morozano in the Australian Open last year. She lost to Feng Sheng Wei in the semi-final for the women's. Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Yes.
So there you go. So did you check that up on Spinified, Jeffrey?
I did, Spinified. Yes. I'll put a link in the show notes so people can check out Spinified and let us know what they think. All right. Let's move on to the PingSkills question of the day from last Wednesday, Alois, which is, what is the best match you have ever played? Now, did we get much of a response to this one?
That's a good question. I was just checking that out previously and I didn't get to it. Let me think. Yes. So Naranjan made a comment. So he was saying that he and his teammate were down 3-7 and at 2-all. It was his turn to receive and he hit 3 backhand flicks in a row and he got 5 points and then he served and got 4 more points and we won the game 21-10. So this is the old days, obviously, and won the match. So that was the best match that he had ever played. So yeah, it's good. It's good to hear stories about different people's matches that they won. Having a look at Dita's comments. No, he talked about his favourite drill being the Falkenberg that we talked about in the last show as well. So yeah. So thank you, Niranjan. That was good to hear about your best match ever. What about you, Jeff? Have you got one that stands out for you?
Yeah, I think we talked about this in a previous podcast, Alois, and I think I went with the doubles at the Sydney Olympics. At the time, we were the first Australian pair to win a doubles match at the Olympic Games, and so that was pretty special. And we beat the Cuban pair, and with just the home crowd support that we had was amazing. We got off to a pretty good start. They were a bit nervous, and we won the first set. And then in the second set, they were up, but the crowd got behind us, and we managed to come home and win 22-20 and take the match. And yeah, it was a pretty special moment. So that's it for me.
Yeah, and I noticed, Jeff, that you were up in Sydney, and you actually went to Olympic Park and found your name on the pole there. So that would have been exciting.
Yeah, that was pretty good actually. Yeah, so outside the Olympic Stadium, they've got all these poles for all the volunteers, and it's actually incredible to see, Alois, because they've got one pole which has like the Australian Olympic team members on it, and then there's like 100 poles that have all the volunteers, and it just shows how much effort is required to put a big event like the Olympics on, and how many volunteers you need compared to the actual number of competitors. So big kudos to all the volunteers.
Yeah, I'm sure your kids would have been pretty happy to see your name on the pole there. It would have been nice.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So we got a photo, and it was good. It was indeed.
Excellent. Yeah, good one.
Yeah, all right.
Brought back some good memories.
Yes. And so, Alois, because you don't really like heights, the PingSkills question of the day has been inspired by my bridge climb. So the question is, what is the scariest thing that you have ever done? So head over to pingskills.com, click on the blog link, find this show and leave a comment to let us know. We're interested to hear what all the PingSkillers are up to out there that scares everybody. Excellent. All right, let's move on to the questions. And first up, Noel has asked a question, and he's jumped onto our Google Plus page, Alois, and someone has suggested that the easiest way to find our Google Plus page is just go to Google itself and type in Google Plus PingSkills. And then you'll find our page. You'll see they'll call it an event, and there'll be a little Q&A button. Hit that button and you can ask us a question live on the show. So Noel says, hello, Jeff and Alois. My question is, after using a forehand loop, my opponent returns with a weak high block, and I usually hit it out. How can I improve this? And thank you for all the tips and discussions. It's really helped me a lot.
Yeah, Noel, firstly, thanks for those comments. That's nice to hear. And the problem you're having is one that everyone has. So after you make that first opening topspin, there's just a subtle change that needs to happen, because so off the first ball, you're top spinning the backspin ball. So the stroke becomes quite vertical and to lift that ball over the net. When they block it back, you need to adjust slightly. So the next ball, you need to come much more forward because it hasn't got any backspin on it. It's got a little bit of topspin on it. That subtle change between the lift and the driving forward gets everyone. So whenever we do this drill with players, and we start by doing the push and then block the next one, it's almost a guarantee that that second one goes off the end of the table, because everyone just doesn't quite adjust enough to that second ball. So think of it like, if you were, after you lift that first ball, really focus on getting that next ball down. Okay, so don't worry about hitting it too low. If you hit into the net, it'll be almost good. So really focus on turning your bat over and brushing over the top of the ball on that next ball. We've actually got a video on this called the follow-up forehand, and I think it might be a premium lesson, but certainly for all the premium members out there, it's a really good one for you to have a look at, because it's a problem, as I said, that we see all the time with players being able to make that adjustment from the lift to the drive.
Yeah, indeed. And I guess when Noel's opponent is blocking it even higher, it's probably even more, important to hit the ball downwards.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so just turning your bat over. So if the ball comes up a little bit higher, yes, then you need to come over to the ball a little bit more. Still make sure you're putting that topspin on the ball though, because if you try and hit that ball flat, it's still going to sail off the end. So come over the top of the ball and hit it with some good topspin to get it down as well.
All right. So hopefully that helps you out, Noel. And I guess a good way to practice that is just by doing, a backspin serve, playing topspin, and then playing the topspin off the block. Just keep doing that over and over, Alois.
Yeah, that is a good way. The other way is you can get someone to feed multi-ball to you as well. They'd need to have a little bit of experience feeding multi-ball, because you'd want them to feed one with backspin and then one with topspin. So just making that change between the two.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, then you just get to practice that change over and over. Excellent. All right. Now, another interesting fact, Alois, is that this is show 125, and 120.
Oh, great. Here we go. Yeah.
The cube of 5. So that's pretty interesting. And if that wasn't interesting enough, it also can be expressed as the sum of two squares in two different ways. So 125 equals 10 squared plus 5 squared, but it also equals 11 squared plus 2 squared.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you finished, Jeff? Yep. Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
What I was saying was that, like, you mentioned about the premium membership, and we've got the forehand follow-up video. So if people want to improve their table tennis, we have got a lot of information under the premium membership. We've got a course on serving secrets, receiving secrets, training secrets. We have a 52-week training plan and associated masterclasses with that. And that's a really good aspect of the premium membership, where we lay out a different training routine every week, and we have themes that we go through: consistency and serving and receiving, attacking, defending, and preparing for tournaments. So it's a really good course. So if you're interested in improving your table tennis, why not check out the PingSkills Premium membership at pingskills.com. All right, enough of that.
Good idea, Jeffrey. Good idea.
Let's get on to another question. DK has asked a question, Alois, and DK says, I've noticed that Matsushita often goes for seemingly surely lost balls. Do you have any idea how he can do it? I know that it's a matter of his immense physical condition, but is it something that can be learned?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like the Japanese are really big on chasing down those balls, even if you don't think that you can get to it. I think I talked a little bit before previously about the time I trained in Japan. The biggest no-no was to let a ball go past without touching it. So you just had to scramble, reach, whatever, just to make sure you touched the ball before it went past. So if you have that mindset of just chasing everything down and just trying to get your back to it, sometimes the ball goes back, and you actually surprise yourself as to what you can reach and what you can't even get back on the table. I often see players, like especially when the ball hits the net and drops down low, and a lot of players just sort of, they give it up. They sort of almost start complaining before the ball even bounces on their side of the table. Instead of that, if you just really go after the ball and try your best just to get your back to it, you'd be actually really surprised as to what you can get back. And so with that mindset, Matsushita does actually reach a lot of balls that you think, wow, like there's no way. And I mean, he's just a sensational retriever of the ball anyway. But he does get to some balls that you just think that is like way out of his reach. So just that attitude first, and just practicing it all the time, and just having that in your mind all the time that you want to get to every ball. That's the best way to improve that sort of aspect of your game.
Yeah, excellent. I love that. I love things where it's just a mindset and it can make a big difference to your game. So just, by just changing your thoughts and thinking, all right, now I'm going to adopt that mindset. I'm going to try and, at least touch every ball, and it'll have a positive impact on your game, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. So, that's a great tip, Alois.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
You're welcome. All right. If I can just having a bit of trouble with my Google Hangouts here. I'm just trying to clear this question so I can move on to the next one, but I might just move on anyway. But I was hoping it would just, here we go. All right. Moving on to the next question from a random person, Alois, who has said...
Is that Mr. Person?
Yeah, Mr. Person, random first name,
yeah.
Has said, my backhand is stronger than my forehand. When blocking, I have a bad habit of sometimes making a backhand block on the forehand side. Do you have any suggestions on how I can fix this?
Yeah, so Mr. Person, I think one thing that you need to do is, firstly, make sure you set yourself up in a nice balanced position for both sides. So if you are, if you're turned a little bit with your right foot forward or in that sort of position after your serve or when you're returning the next ball, then you're going to tend to chase the ball around with your backhand side. So similarly, if you turn too much to your forehand, if the ball comes here, you're going to tend to chase it with your forehand. So if you're in a nice balanced position, nice square on position, then you're giving yourself the best opportunity to use both your forehand and your backhand. The next thing is to, just in your mind, have a bit of a line or a mental line of where you're going to switch between that forehand and that backhand side. So, for me, it might be here. So anything over on this side, I'm going to play with my forehand, and anything over on this side, I'll play with my backhand. So once you've got that pretty well set in your head, then you'll tend to set yourself up with a more balanced stance anyway, and be able to start to utilize both your forehand and backhand.
Okay, that's a good idea. And so do you think our video on the basic stance would be, a good video to watch here, just to make sure you're in that nice, good position?
Yeah, I think that one would be good. And also the one we put up recently on, it's sort of, I think it's titled Reflexes, would help as well, because in that we also talk about facing the ball and your stance. So we'll put links to both of those on the show.
Okay, yes, the improving your reflexes video. Yes, that is a good one. All right. Oh, yep. And yeah, so go to pingskills.com, click on the blog link. You'll find these shows here, and I'll put a lot of show notes there, and that's where you'll find all the links that we're referring to here. Okay. Next up is a question from Steve. And Steve just wanted to tell us that he's received his iPong Master version 300 the other day. It's been a great practice partner, so it's a robot, and it's a great practice partner when he doesn't have someone else. The robot has good top spin and back spin, so he can practice his drills all day long, and Steve would recommend it. So what are your thoughts on the robots, Alois?
Yeah, over the years, we've had lots of discussion about robots. Initially, I was completely against them. Now, I mean, I think that the key is that if you have no other option to practice, I think the robots can be a good practice or training tool. They're good for, being able to groove your strokes. Some of the newer ones and the better ones now, you can actually program quite well to patterns of where you want each ball. So that is also a useful feature. The one really big limiting factor, though, with robots is that you aren't seeing a person at the other end, and you're not picking up cues of what they're doing and reacting to those cues. So, if you can get over that, if you have no one to practice with, robots are great. And for Steve, obviously, it's working really well. So, Steve, yeah, keep going with it. But if you can find some training partners too, or utilize your training partners as well as your robot.
Yep, excellent. All right, well, thanks for your review on the iPong Master, Steve, and good to hear you're getting some good use out of it. All right, now here's an interesting one, Alois, from Tony. And Tony said, previous studies have shown that practicing complex sport skills on both sides of the body benefits performance not only with the non-dominant limb, but also with the dominant limb. What do you think about bilateral transfer in table tennis skills?
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. If you go to the actual Ask the Coach question, there's a little bit of discussion there as well. So, yes, some interesting studies. Not 100% convinced, but certainly there are good development benefits, I think, of utilizing your non-dominant hand. So if you're a left-hander, practicing with your right hand and vice versa. Especially perhaps at a developmental age or at developmental level, just to get the coordination and the balance and all that sort of thing. But I think at the next level, I don't think there's a lot of benefit for your actual game to be able to, if you're practicing an hour with your non-dominant hand, I think you're just as well to practice that 1 hour with your dominant hand. I mean, to a certain extent, I think, doing some things with the other hand is good, just for overall balance things. But yeah, I think in general, not that beneficial.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, I mean, I'd like to see some more on the studies, but, I mean, my initial thought is that, practicing with your non-preferred hand is a bit of fun, it might be enjoyable and that's good, but I can't see how it would really benefit you any more than practicing with your real hand, so I think you'd be better off spending time practicing with your real hand. That's just my initial thoughts on it without having seen too much about these studies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also in the discussion, there was a comment that the top players like Bowl, etc., must practice a lot with must practice a bit with their non-dominant hand because they can switch hands and play them. I'll tell you, they don't. It's just something that they develop, and the brain can adapt pretty quickly. I mean, Timo Bowles hits so many balls with his left hand that he can put the bat in his right hand, and he's not like a beginner. It's not like it's the first time he's hit the ball with his right hand, because there is that transfer that Tony's talking about. But yeah, as far as the actual benefits, of doing it ongoing, I'm not 100% sure. But certainly there would be some benefits early on. I know. Previously, I'd seen some studies of German tennis players when they were really young and doing a lot of training with a whole lot of different things. So not only talking about your non-dominant hand, but also hitting the ball with different or with different types of equipment. So not always using the tennis racket, using wooden rackets, and then using different types of balls and that bounce differently, just to really develop a little bit more holistically your hand-eye skills, I suppose.
So yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, all that stuff's really interesting, Tony. So yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. That's it's really interesting stuff, and yeah, it'd be good to read a little bit more and to read those studies and just see what they're saying.
Yeah, indeed. And if anyone out there practices with their non-dominant hand, leave a comment and let us know, what you think about this discussion. So thanks for that interesting topic, Tony. All right, well, Alois, that wraps up episode 125 of the Ask the Coach show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you visit our website, PingSkills.com, and if you haven't, sign up for our free newsletter with lots of tips on how to improve your table tennis. Thank you, Alois.
Thanks, Jeff, and I'm glad you survived the bridge climb, and we'll see you PingSkillers tomorrow. And Richard Weaver, if you're listening, I hope you made it this far and you haven't got to work yet. See ya.
Indeed, because he's stuck in traffic. All right, thanks everyone. See you later. Bye.